Hello, good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you are all over the world. My name is Ayodeji Anifoshi, and I'm sure you're going to be wondering why we came up this late. Sorry, we had some issues that had to be resolved, but thank God we're back. And then I'm sure you guys had a wonderful time in God's presence last night, waiting up for about 12 hours. That was a long one, trust me. But we give God the praise. We give God the praise. We give God the praise. So. Today I have someone very important that I'm bringing your way. Uh, she's my sister. I wouldn't call her my. Well, I don't believe in sister-in-law again. I don't believe in sister-in-law because it's deeper. I don't see my in-laws as in-laws. I see them as family. So it's my sister-in-law. So I'm going to be introducing her shortly after this break. So wherever you are all over the world, you need to join this session for today and share this with all your friends and loved ones, and then let's get to know what we need to do to live a much healthier life. Trust me, it's very important so we can live long. I want to live long. Yes, trust me. If Jesus tarries and God give me the grace, I don't mind getting to 100 years, 120, 140, 150. No, don't worry. I won't go too far. But sincerely, it's always good to live a much healthier life, and then make our life easy and comfortable. So, guys, just hold on, and I'll be back shortly with my guest. All right, guys. I promised you I was going to be back. Yes, I'm back. I was not joking about that. So I'm totally back. And then, like I promised, I have an important guest for you today. She's my sister. She's my sister in law. And she's a woman with a big, large heart. Very large heart. Very, very large heart. Like, I mean it. I mean it. I'm not exaggerating, guys. You get to know what I'm saying. So, wherever you're watching from all over the world, please join me to welcome Sister Toyin Adetiba. You're welcome. Good afternoon. Yeah, good afternoon. And then welcome to Great Father, Great Husband channel. Great to have you here.
Thank you so much. You can hear me okay?
Yes, we can hear you
Okay,
clearly. And
wonderful. Thank you so much for having me. And
oh,
I
oh, go ahead.
Go ahead, go ahead. I was just going to let everybody know that I apologize about, the delay. That was my issue. Brother Deji, he is very prompt and very much on time. So it was an issue on my end, and I thank you all for being patient. Thank you so much.
Yeah, yeah. Uh, it's just a lot going on today already. Just finishing the 12 hours and then
Yes,
coming.
which was amazing. That was amazing.
Yeah, I don't, people
Wow.
ask me how I'm back right on track as if nothing happened.
I don't understand it because you pulled together an incredible assembly of people, and everyone was just going up in the praise and the worship. Yeah, that was quite a feat. So I know
Yeah,
God is your strength, because to do all of that and then to come back and do this, we know you're dealing with the supernatural power here.
yeah. It has to be God. It's not human. No, not any human being that can do this. So, guys, today, this is my sister, and she will be sharing with us something that we need to know in order to live a much healthier life. And from research, I've gotten to see that so many men die early, and I discovered there is a reason, and it's because uh, uh, we tend not to manage our health in the right way. We don't know what to eat. In fact, I got a quote overnight while we were in the 12 hours prayer session, and the quote was, "It is not what you eat that gives you strength, but the knowledge of what you eat."
Mm, yes,
I
I
got it
agree.
from Daniel 11:32 that says 11:32b that says that they that know their God shall be strong and do exploits. So I'm not like, okay, in that case, it's not what you actually eat or consume that gives you strength or that makes you better, but it is the knowledge, you knowing that, okay, if I take mango in the morning and I take banana in the afternoon and I probably going to do avocado in the evening, okay, that should make me live healthy, because I know what they are all meant for. I know they are nutrients. I know what is going to serve in my body system. And then I can now digress into, okay, saying in that case, okay, tomorrow, but instead of me now taking all junks, this just because I'm hungry, I want to take this, I want to take this, I want to take this, it won't give me strength. So, but the knowledge of the fact that I know what I'm going to think, it gives me strength. So let me get out of the board, and then we're going to start shortly now with a book question. Let's just say a word of prayer. Lord, we thank you for this session this morning. As we start, we ask that you will take all the glory, and everything that will be discussed will be edifying, and it will add value to everyone's life that will listen, and your name shall be glorified. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. All right. So I'll begin by asking. So who are you? Can you please introduce yourself? Let everybody in the world know who you are.
Well, it's a question I don't answer a lot, so let me see if I can be very succinct. I am, I am, as you can see, I'm a African woman. I I've been here in America, since I was a baby. So I grew up here in America, in this Western culture, and I feel like a typical African American in some regards. But I've always been held close to my Nigerian heritage, which my parents are very proud Nigerian people. So I feel like I have an understanding of, traditional cultures somewhat, although I have not lived in Nigeria, but just because of my parents and the culture that they surrounded us with, and then living in America, you're surrounded with, I would say, a lot the Western culture, the Western way of life, and in it, there are different struggles to be successful in this place. But I just am so grateful of all of the experiences I've had. I'm a registered nurse, and I've been that since 2006. Worked in a level one trauma center, which is like the high level hospital in our area, and I love helping people. That's my heart. What I found was at at a certain point, actually probably a couple years into nursing, in the hospital, that I was starting to get really stressed out,
Hmm.
and it was dawning on me that I didn't feel like I was really helping people. I wasn't helping people to get well. I feel like we were just putting patches on people, band-aids on people, and
Hmm.
then we would send them on their way. But oftentimes they would come back. We would have, the same patient come back. It could be, that next week, the next month. Sometimes it would be that very same day. And we called them the revolving door. It was like a revolving door.
Hmm.
So we call them frequent flyers. That's what we call them because you just know them by name, and you're like, they're here for the same thing. And it dawned on me that we're really not addressing the core issue of what's going on with patients, what's going on with people in general. It's more than a matter of just, pills and medication. It's a much deeper matter that I wasn't quite sure what it was. I'm like, but I knew it was on a higher level than just throwing pills at people. So that began to take me on a journey of where I got really curious about, health and wellness, and how is it that we can naturally heal our bodies with the things that God gave us. The medical system is only about 100 years old as we know it. It hasn't been an establishment for a long time compared to humankind, as long as we've been on the earth. So this is a new thing. But what were we doing prior to this? So that's always my question. Like, what really,
Hmm.
what does it take for us to be well? What did it take for us to survive? 1,000 years ago, 10,000 years. Many. Those big questions that make you wonder. How does all of this come together for this thing called life? Is the question are Those are the questions I started to come up with in my mind, and then it took me on a journey where I wanted to learn more about that, because I did not learn that in nursing school at all whatsoever.
Hmm.
What you learn in nursing school is supportive care, You learn how to address the orders of the doctors to make sure that you're executing those to, to stabilize the patient, keep the patient well. But they don't teach you really how to heal. In medical school, they don't do that. In nursing school, they don't do that. And allopathic, um, as a whole, is really all about the pharmaceutical and putting the drug into the body to heal a particular ailment. And I just feel that, we are so much more than just a pill. That it takes so much more to make us feel whole and complete. So, in a snapshot, that's who I am. I'm just a person who's really curious about what it takes for us to live our best lives.
Wow, that's a lot. I know you mentioned uh something that is very very important, which I think many of us do not probably think of, because my mom was telling me that back in the days, they they do not really use most of those things, and then they go to farm, they do all sort of things, they get even injured, they give birth on the way from the farm,
Mhm.
and then they they fall sick,
Yeah.
obviously out of maybe mosquito bites or stress, that fever, and there was nothing like tablets. So how on earth did they survive it? And I think that's a question I have not even asked myself. But I was talking about it, but I didn't really think about it the way you mentioned it now. So, but my dad told me all those they didn't use any tablet. There was no drugs, no nothing like that, and they were, you know, my dad lived a good portion of his life, in the village. So he experienced farming, and my mom was telling me, let me give you an example now. For example, so that we get into conversation. Example like now is, there was a day I had a cut on my hand. So I was looking for a bandage, spirits, all kind of things to put in my hand. My mom said, no, that's too late. Before we get a bandage, that might be too late. She just grabbed a fresh tomatoes, cut it into two, and dip my hand inside. It was it felt so harsh on me. But guess what? The bleeding stopped. She said that's how they grew up. The bleeding stopped immediately. Immediately, it stopped. And you can now do some other things you want to do on the hand. But that shows that there was a way that is being done before, and which is a question that we should all ask ourselves. Yeah. So how how would you describe the word healthy living?
Healthy living, and that's it's a broad, it's a phrase, and it's like an umbrella phrase. It encompasses so much. It's a subjective thing. Like everybody has their own version of what's healthy living. For me, it's a lifestyle that helps you feel connected ultimately to God. Ultimately, and if you feel connected to God, I feel that your life will exhibit certain kinds of traits, you know, where there's joy, where there's happiness, where there's, you're hopeful because you know that your future is always brighter. You have something to hold on to, and that comes from that connection in the heart. So, before we became the physical people, in the world, we were spiritual. We are of the spirit of God. So I feel that the spirit always needs to be connected to God, and I feel that that's healthy. As I've been learning recently, that kind of connection, when you are deeply in tune with the things of God, and the things that are intangible that actually translate biologically into the physical bodies that we have, and that actually produces health. It produces what we consider health. It produces energy. It produces immunity. It produces all of the things that allow us to live a robust lifestyle. So my first answer would be connection to the spirit, and then of course connection to the food that is grown on, or, that comes from the earth. That too, where our bodies are of the earth. Our soul is of the spirit, but our bodies are of the earth. So
Yeah.
there's a connection to both, the
Mm.
tangible and the intangible. We need to know what it is to tap into both. to optimize that living. Because if you can believe in God all day long, but if you don't drink any water, you'll be going back to God sooner than maybe you hoped. Because you can't be dehydrated. So you have to be able to drink clean water. You have to be able to eat healthy foods that haven't been contaminated. That you prepare in a way that's least amount of manipulation. Those types of things, I believe, allow you to allow your heart to swell, and for you to be so joyous, so that you can go out in the world and execute, do all kinds of exploits. You have the energy, you have the mindset to then make a difference in whatever you decide you want to do with your life. And to me, that's a healthy life.
Wow. We have two comments here. Tolu Ololumo, I think he said amen to the prayer that we prayed earlier on. And I have my wife here. She said, good afternoon to you both. Excited to be part of this. Yeah, thank you so much for
Thank
always
you.
being part of everything I do. You are just always there. If you're not there, we'll be there. Yeah. So, uh, how would you describe how can one determine direction in life concerning the area of health? How do you make decision about that?
Well, you have to ask yourself, how do you feel? You always start with a self assessment, and you know how you feel. Every day, is it hard to get out of bed? Are you dragging throughout the day when it's time to work? Are you sleeping all the time? Do you have energy to get through the day? What is your mood? Are you happy to encounter different people? Do situations frustrate you, or do you look at them as opportunities? How can I use my mind to my mind, my body, my spirit to make a solution? So I think that self-assessment is
Hmm.
it's a good way. It's a subjective way, because everybody's own situation is different. So when you ask kind of those big questions, like, how am I getting through this day? Am I able to cope, or am I having problems coping? That tells you, oh, you know what? There's something in my life that's off, and that might help you to slow down, really tune in to that area that might be giving you trouble. It could be a physical issue that you're like, something's going on, and you're like, oh, it's my shoulder, or it's my back. Or it could be the type of mood that you had, like, I'm really upset all the time, I'm really angry all the time. um and I don't know, what's everything that I encounter seems to trigger me and make me feel upset, or not at ease. So I think asking that question allows you to tap into more information, because our bodies know. We know if we just slow down, listen, our bodies will tell us all the information that we need to know.
Well, I think I like that statement of self-assessment, because I think that's something we fail to do. And that's like you said, when you know where you are in your body, knowing about that. Okay, for example, now myself and my wife, we are different. There are certain things that my wife can eat and I just can't eat for a reason best known to me. There's some certain things that I eat, but she's not. There's nothing you can say. She's not just appealing to her for a reason best known to her. So that's true, because if you assess yourself, so that, for example, so that you won't put yourself in that corner. You go to event with people now, and you react to fried meat, for example. You have to fried me, but because you all go into events, you like, so that I can feel among, so that I can eat. Now you not get into eating the fried meat, knowing fully well that after doing the last assessment on yourself, you find out that eating fried meat for you is dangerous. You not do the same, because that's exactly. So I think I like that, which I think is something we all need to, I think I need to do that regularly. Assess and think, okay, how do I feel every morning when I wake up? Do I feel tired? Do I feel strong, energetic enough? What do I need to do? Because it's until you assess yourself, then you now know what you need. So are you saying, uh when you assess yourself, is that what will bring out, or give you inspiration on what to do, and lead you to what you should be curious about concerning your health?
Absolutely. It's the first start. I mean, and your body usually is screaming what it needs. You just pay attention. If you just pay attention to, just pay attention to everything in your body. You slow down, and just notice, almost like you're outside of yourself, looking at yourself. What am I doing? What am I saying? How am I feeling? It gives you all of these clues. If you were to literally write them down, you would probably come up with this pattern, of, oh, this is kind of my, this is my countenance, on a daily basis. This is how I'm feeling spiritually. This is how I'm feeling mentally. This is how I'm feeling physically. And it tells you, and if the output of that you notice, that's what's a reflection on the inside. The output that you notice on the outside is a reflection of what is there on the inside. So when you tune into that, then you know, okay, that this is an area that I need to focus in on. Then you can start to say, well, is this, like a physical issue, or is it my attitude? Is it my emotions? And I think everybody living in the world, we have gone through a tremendous, um, worldwide pandemic, and I think it has forced a lot of us to become quiet, spend time with ourselves, spend time with families, and, um, probably be more with ourselves maybe than we have ever done in our lives.
Hmm.
And it's an opportunity to do that assessment. And, coming out of it, now that the world is coming back and everybody is, getting to go outside and, do the things that we're normally, used to do, um, it's an opportunity to say, what was the difference? What was the difference when I was cooped up in the house? How did that
Hmm.
make me feel? I'm always
Hmm.
about asking the big questions, if you notice, versus going outside, and how did that make me feel? I really believe that it was a time of tremendous stress for a lot of people, because we felt we were in bondage. It's one thing when you want to be at home, but when you can't, when you have to be at home and you can't do the things that you want to do, that feels like bondage. You feel
Yeah.
like you're in jail. So, the stress that comes with that could be really tremendous. And stress, I feel like the whole world was feeling it, but in particular in America, we definitely were feeling it. And stress is, it was not mapped out so well before, but now there's, a ton of research that says that when you are in a stressful situation, or you perceive that you're in a stressful situation, that's how your body reacts, and it is a series of a series of I would say your body is compensating for feeling like it's under some sort of attack, and in so doing, it produces, uh, a string of chemicals, a type of chemistry that allows you to cope with that stress. The only thing about it is that it's only meant for short term. It's an emergency mechanism
Hmm.
that the body uses. When you continue to use this mechanism, and it's your daily way of being, it's the way that you act in life, always in some kind of stress, you tax your body tremendously. It is hard because what stress does is that it shuts down the center of the body. All of your energy is put towards your extremities, because you're ready to defend yourself. And if you think about, if you're stressed out, it's something that you're trying to defend yourself. So your body takes a posture of tightening up, as if
Hmm.
you're getting ready to physically fight, or you hide, or you're getting ready to run. So all of your energy needs to be in your extremities. And when you think about that, all of your organs are in the center of your body. Your energy moves to the extremities of your body, but yet the organs that do all of the work of the body are in the center of the body. So therefore, all of your cells are getting shunted out, you know, to an extreme. And you don't have what you need in your organs for them to, to do what they're supposed to do naturally. And when you do that day in, day out, week in, week out, month in, month out, and it goes on and on and on, you will be physically taxed. And you'll wonder why, oh, why am I seeming to have colds so often, or the
Hmm.
flu so often, or this part of my body hurts, or I'm feeling, so drained. And that's the reason why your body is not in alignment. You're out of balance.
Wow. You know, two things that I just remember now. Number one thing, the 12 hours prayer we had overnight. This morning, my wife was asking me, she said, how come I didn't sound so tired? Yeah, I believe in God's strength so much. But like you said, you can believe in God all you want. But if you don't drink any water, you'll be going back to God sooner than expected. I took water. In fact, I probably finished a gallon of water for the 2 hours. So because that helped my body system, and then I was able to stay up, and I was so active all through
Hmm.
12 hours.
Yes,
So it's good to pray. It's good to believe, but there's some things that God will not do for you. He won't do it. Like
right.
some the second time I was going to mention is some years ago. I think I mentioned it during I was falling sick, and then I was talking to God, and even after God healed me, and God told me the way for me to keep myself alive and healthy is to know when to pull out of
Mm,
stress, and when to what to how to do what I need to do at the right time. And that's why today I get to places and they ask me, "Oh, how old are you?" It should be like about 20 something, 22. I'm like, I'm not. I'm gonna be 37 this year, 20. I'm like, are you serious? Yes, I
right.
am. Why? It's a product of, yeah. Glory be to God. God's grace is sufficient for me. But I also, at least one thing that I can be proud of myself on is water. I don't joke with water. I don't. I learned that a long time, and that has changed my life. And what I learned was that water is medicinal. So that got into me.
You're a genius. For that simple thing is making you a genius. It really is.
So I
Water
got that.
is the universal solvent. It breaks down everything. If you don't have it, you really can't do anything. You can take all the herbs of the world. uh, Jesus himself can bring you this golden miraculous
Hmm,
herb or food, but if there's no water to go with it, it's going to get stuck.
hmm,
It's going to harden.
hmm,
Everything will harden in the absence of water. It's you have to the whole thing of the body is that things need to flow. Everything needs to keep flowing. The body is supposed to be in movement all the time.
hmm.
It's not supposed to be stagnant. You're not supposed to just lay in bed all day or be in one position all day. You're supposed to be moving the body. And the water. If you would think about if you wash your dishes and you got the soap and it makes suds and it's cleaning the dishes, but you just left it there. You never rinsed it off.
Yeah?
Would you want to eat up? Would you consider those plates clean? Would you consider your dishware clean? But you
No.
use soap, no water. So water, you could just imagine it's that important. Same thing if you took a shower with all the soap, black soap, the best soap, all the herbs in the soap, but you couldn't rinse it off.
Hmm,
And then just imagine it dry there.
yeah.
That is that can give you a visual of how important. You just know how important water is. So water, I would say, it supersedes food. We need food absolutely, but you can't do anything without water. And water needs to be clean water. I think of
Yeah.
the water that we drink a lot. It's sitting stagnant. It really should be running and flowing. So the best water would be the water that you could get from a stream where it was like probably flowing downward towards a bigger body of water, and
Hmm,
it was being purified by the rocks and the natural filters that God has placed in rivers and streams. Before we came and we contaminated it with doing all kinds of things in there. It cleans itself, and
hmm.
that's the best water that has the minerals, that has the nutrients, and that's why you feel so strong with water alone. Now we have to supplement our water and do different things to get it back to where it needs to be. But yes, yeah, you can't understate or overstate the importance of water. So
Yeah.
you are on absolutely the right track for doing that.
Yeah. I remember somebody also mentioning that water is life.
It is.
That's the next name for water is life. And
It's
and
eighty
truly,
percent of our bodies. It's eighty
mm-hmm,
percent of what is in our body. It's water.
hmm,
People pass out when they maybe urinate too much, or like you think of the people who play sports and they might pass out on the field because they're dehydrated. They're sweating. They're losing all of this fluid, and nothing is coming back in. The body looks at that as extreme imbalance, and to compensate, it will pass out, lay out. So your body will literally be vertical so that it can have some kind of balance until it can feel that equilibrium again, and then you'll come back, you'll revive yourself. But the body is necessary for every function in life.
I think it would be nice to come break down the essentials of water and what it does in the body. Because I remember somebody was explaining to me what the water do in the body and why it's essential that you need to have an intake of a particular ounces, like in within some hours interval, and what color of your urine should look like. If it's not looking like a particular color, then you're not getting things right. I think we should come and discuss that sometime. It is very, because that water alone is a, like I said, honestly, it has changed my life.
Mhm.
It has changed my life completely. Understanding
Mhm.
that has changed my life. So now, how do you use, well, another question I was going to ask before was about the water. That, okay, now looking at the way this world is now, what we are surrounded with, and then the kind of water we have access to, how do we still get the best out of it?
Okay, I'm sorry. Say that last part again. The best out of
With the
water?
water that is available to us all over the world now, I'm sure people are watching from different continents of the world, and then, like you said, the water that's available to us all around the world. So how do we make the best use of it to still help our body system? You talk about the issue of purification and co. So,
Yeah, I feel that at this point, I can't speak to all, water systems of the world, but I know that there's extreme contamination, in most of our water systems. In America, we put a lot of everything that's in the toilet that goes in the toilet. People flush everything in the toilet, things that are meant to go in there and things that are not. All of that eventually gets into the water system that
hmm,
supposedly is, clean and purified by our, the cities and the municipalities, but they can't get everything out. There are very dangerous chemicals in there. So you have to be proactive in determining, the type of water I'm going to drink. What am I actually going to put into my body? So I don't trust tap water at all. I just
hmm,
don't, because the city or the municipalities, at least in America, they allow for so much contaminants, and that it's okay according to their laws and their statutes for this amount of contaminants to come through the tap water. Um, and I just don't agree with that. So you have to take matters into your own hand. You have to purify your water. Um, and for me, that is using the different systems that are in place. There's reverse osmosis. There's and they do several different things, including boiling and putting it through a UV filter and putting it through carbon. All of these different levels of purification so that you can hopefully have a fresh glass of water at the end of it. Um, there's another system of purification. It's a what do they call a gravity filtration system by a company named Berkey Waters. I'm not affiliated with them, but I do use their product, and they allow you to just put water through these filters, and it filters out the water. Then they have an additional filter for the arsenic and fluoride. I mean, there's so many chemicals. So I would say if you spend your money on anything, really spend it on getting clean water, because when you have that in your body, it allows your body to take care of so many other things that might be going wrong with it. So you may have to spend some money up front, making sure that you have proper filtration. Look, there's so many different companies that are doing it. So you can, I have an opinion on certain kinds, but you do your own research, and you see what's best for you. But that's something that you should focus focus in on.
yeah, thank you for that. All right, guys, please, those of you watching all over the world, if you have any question, we'll be taking that. Just put it in the comment section, and we'll be taking it one by one as it comes. So now that takes me to my next question. So how do you use the apps to balance this so healthy living? How does the apps comes in? How do you balance it up?
Well, I feel that everybody needs what's called a full body detox, where you take a grouping of herbs that have an affinity towards um, uh, different organs in the body. And when you take those group of herbs, they do that, and of course with water, to flush out the system. So you're addressing all the different systems of the body, your respiratory, your circular, cardiac, which is your heart, and your circulation, kidneys, which do the filtering, your liver, which is a process, processing all the different chemical functions. And these grouping of herbs that other masters who have studied the herb have found that they are able to purge all of the things that have blocked up the different parts of herbs. It doesn't allow them to flow, because really anything that's going on in your body is a result of some form of stagnation. Again,
mm,
something got stuck. Something got stuck in the vessels, in the different structures of the organ, and now things can't flow. There's a backup, and now
mm,
things can't. The water, the blood can't flow and give nutrients to that part of the organ, which causes malfunction. So I would say, start with a full body detox. Some, and there's so many out there, but it's essentially a time that you take to not, and I have to address the part of the diet. So you're really kind of fasting. You're fasting in the sense that you're not eating typical foods that you might normally, where you might eat a lot of protein, a lot of meat in your diet. You would purge from that, or take it down very significantly, because once you do that, you allow all of your organs to rest, and
mm,
rest is so important. And when you allow it to rest, and then you're doing the work of purging with the herbs, that everything has an opportunity to get cleaned out, and it doesn't have to worry about all the new food that you keep bringing into it. It can't is getting to address all the things that were in the past without having to worry about all the new things you're bringing into the body, because the body is always going to take care of the first thing that's in front of it. So your the meal that you just had a few minutes ago, that's the priority. Everything that you ate that hasn't been digested or been taken care of, it gets
mm,
lodged in some form, in some part of the body, and your body's like, I'll take care of it later. Right now, I'm worried about this meal. Right now, I'm worried about this thing. Your body's about the present.
mm.
So it would be a good idea, I believe, for everyone to, take some time out, and men, men especially, because you're responsible for so much. And this is a patriarchal society. Men run the world, so it's good for men to be at their most robust, most healthy, really take into account, their how they feel, because I believe that affects the mindset. I know it does affect the mindset, and those decisions that people make while in that certain mindset, whether it be a negative or positive, are things that then go on to influence other people. People make laws when they're upset. People write information. People speak. They can speak life or death into you when they're in
Mm.
a certain mindset. So it's actually advantageous for everyone to do it, because we can affect everybody else by how we feel inside. So I know that was taking the long way to answer that
Wow.
question.
No, 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 but sincerely, you opened up two areas in that answer you gave. Now, the first thing that you opened up is that, so you say fasting is also a form of, having to do the detox. Is that what you're saying? Yeah. So
Absolutely.
which means, okay, because obviously I like fasting a lot. So maybe that's the reason I've been living healthy. Now you're not saying that activity is part of what puts your body organs to rest. So which means,
Absolutely.
because naturally we all think rest is just about me sleeping and then all of that. So it's more than just sleeping. Your organs also have to rest. Wow.
Absolutely. That's I mean, they get to rest when we sleep. And sleep is another, big issue that needs to be addressed, because a lot of us are not getting proper sleep. The body would prefer to do less work. We make our bodies work really, really hard, and it's not necessary. It's just a lifestyle choice. But our bodies would prefer to be as efficient as possible, because you actually don't need a lot of food. You need a lot of water, but you don't need a lot of food. And the
Mm,
action of digesting food is a tremendous tax on the body. People don't understand how much energy it takes to make energy. And so, and the food that we eat, the more complicated the food, meaning the more dense the food is, the least amount of water, or the less, how can I say, the less, the food with the least amount of water is the most difficult to digest.
Hmm.
So we love our meat. This is a meat consuming society world, but it's very difficult to digest meat. You think about goat meat, how tough that is. What do you think?
Mm-mm.
Everything has to return back to its basic chemistry. That's
Wow.
the only thing that the body doesn't care about, that you seasoned it with
Mm.
Maggie and how good it tastes. That's for your tongue. That,
How
and
much
that's
time you
really,
boil it?
what's that?
How much time you spend boiling it? The body doesn't
Yes.
care.
The body doesn't care about that. It's still this very dense. In the hospital, they call it a bolus, and it's just like this ball of food, and the body has to break it down.
Hmm.
And it's so difficult to break it down because it has to draw all of this different chemicals and different combinations. And if it doesn't have enough, it starts taking it from your bones. It starts taking it from other organs. It starts taking it from your reservoir, and it's using it to break down this food, and it still can't get the job done.
Hmm.
And you've been doing this thing over and over again. That's a stress on the body.
Hmm.
That's a major stress on the body. So yes, when you rest, you give your body a break from all of those things. And I know people that are religious or spiritual, they tend to, they fast for spiritual reasons, which is excellent. Because you still get the same benefit. You're connecting to God, and you're still giving your body the rest. But if you can tune into the fact that I'm also giving my body a rest, and and your body appreciates that, because the way that we eat sometimes is just it's too much for the system. So
Yeah, I promise you, the way some people will probably eat. Okay, for example, now naturally, when I probably fast, what I usually do is, uh before I even take anything, I like to take a lot of water, get my body, then probably introduce some fruits, and some, if I can take some tea. And but obviously, but naturally, some people just want to eat that if they have not eaten that heavy strong meal. So, but typically, how long are you saying it takes for the body to digest a meat?
well, the digestive process is about 2 to 3 hours. When you typically eat a piece of a regular meal with meat and carbohydrates and breads and different things, it takes about 2 to 3 hours from when you take it in to when it's supposed to the body's supposed to break it down, and then whatever nutrients were in that food get released back into the bloodstream for your energy. Um, However, the portion sizes that we eat, tremendous portion sizes. So your body has to just kind of it kind of it will affect your bowel movements. Like you'll have bowel movements that could be what it can't digest, it'll try to get rid of. And that's why we eliminate through our bowels, we eliminate through our kidneys, we eliminate through our respirations, and that's all forms of getting rid of waste. So if it's something like meat, and it can't it can't digest it all, it'll digest what it can, and then send the rest into the colon for elimination out of through that normal process. Now it can sit in your colon for a long time. Your colon may have difficulty pushing all of that meat out. So there are situations where you'll have meat that has been sitting in your stomach for weeks, months, years. And we know that meat also carries with it parasites, which are
Hmm.
worms.
Hmm.
There's pretty much no meat. I don't think there's any meat. It's just the nature. Animals eat grass, which contain worms, which you then
Wow.
eat. They're not always
Wow.
killed off. A lot of times there's larvae, the eggs of the worms, and different microscopic animals. You too are eating what they ate. So these things can survive the digestive process and actually start to grow in your lung, or excuse me, in your colon, thereby causing more detrimental effects. Because when those worms let loose into the system, they can go into your brain. They can
Hmm.
go into your brain and make you feel like you're crazy.
Wow.
And that's just one of the things, So the short answer to your question is 2 to 3 hours to digest the meal. But the reality of it is that when you eat meat the way that we typically eat meat for every single meal, you're never getting rid of it. It's sitting in your colon. So you can have even thin people.
Whoa.
Not you're a slender man, but even someone slender like you can be holding on to that meat for quite some time. If your digestive system is a little
Hmm.
bit sluggish, some people don't eliminate well. They're not able to um, pull out everything that's in that colon. So that's why, I said a little bit earlier that we should all have a detox, because that detox can actually help push those things that are in the colon out, you know, and it takes time. So this is not anything you should rush into. I mean, you should rush to do. You should take time. It could take several weeks. For some people who are really ailing, it could take several months. So
Hmm. Hmm.
it's something
Wow. This is
to seriously
interesting.
consider.
Yeah, this is interesting. So, is there a meal specific apps
Meal
that
specific apps,
yeah.
I know that they are. I'm not very familiar with those apps, but I know that there are tons out there. Um, I have a friend who's really into keto because keto works for her. Ironically, it's a it's a protein based it's a protein based, not meal, but a diet. It's a protein based diet, so they eat a lot of meat, and but for some reason she has success with that because meat actually doesn't make you get fat. Um, and if you eat small portions of it, you actually can derive a lot, some energy from it. Meat is a stimulant, but you have to have balance. And I know the keto craze is
Hmm.
it's everywhere. So you can decide uh what do you want to eat, And I suggest a plant-based diet, at least for a season in the year. I mean, ultimately, I think that's the best for our body. And all you have to do would be to type in something like plant-based diets. There's so many different options, so many people that have created meal plans. And I know that there are accompanying apps to go with it. I'm not really familiar with any apps in particular, but it's so easy to find. It's so plentiful. People are vegan. Vegan is a very big thing these days, and that's a lifestyle where you don't consume any animal product. But in a vegan diet, you also can eat a lot of junk food because
Hmm.
it's only saying don't eat meat, but most of the food that makes us unhealthy is plant based, but it's flour, it's sugar. So you
Hmm.
can be a vegan and still consume high amounts of that. You can drink beer and French fries and call yourself a vegan. You can eat beer and French fries, I'm saying, and call yourself a vegan, but is that very healthy? So you have to put
Hmm.
you got to
Hmm.
use your intellect. So plant based is what I suggest is the ideal way to eat, where the majority of your meals are from the earth, hopefully organic, meaning that they didn't use chemicals and pesticides to grow the food, which is a whole other issue. But those foods tend to have a lot of water in them. Those foods tend to have a lot of nutrition, and they don't take a particular amount of energy, a lot of energy for the body to break it down. So it's easy for the body to get what it needs from these foods that give them hydration and provide nutrients. But they're only a few calories, so it doesn't take a lot of energy from your cells to break that down. And then you get the benefit of having a lot of energy without having spent a lot of calories.
Wow. We have a question here from Oluwafemi Adetiba. Hey, brother,
I know that guy.
does this apply to shrimp?
Um, yes, well, shrimp. Well, seafood is, I think it's kind of a go between, because it lives in water. So it tends to be more, it has more water, more hydration than, you know, um, protein that lives on land, like from cow, goat, or chicken. But it's a bottom feeder. Seafood is considered a bottom feeding food because so they live in the bottom of the ocean or bottom of the body of water, and they're eating the food that's on the bottom that's on the floor bed. So
Mhm.
typically a lot of waste, a lot of the debris of the ocean, that is part of their diet. So in turn, you're eating that. So there's a little bit of controversy with that. I'm not so much into that. You know, I think everything in moderation. Everything in moderation. So as long as you know that you're cleansing, you're eating things in moderate proportion, and then you're cleansing the body on a regular basis. Of course, you can eat shrimp. You can eat whatever you want. Really, the body can handle pretty much anything you give it. If you're able to clean up your mess. We're just not cleaning up our mess. So, yes, I would say just use common sense. If you really think about it and just say, well, am I overdoing it with this food? Your body will tell you, okay, you've had enough. And physically, if you do too much, you can start vomiting, and your body's letting you know you did too much. That doesn't agree with me. So just tune into the body. It will tell you what it likes, what it doesn't like.
Hmm. 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 This is getting interesting because yeah, honestly, because see, like I said earlier on, it is not what you eat that gives you strength or that makes you live long. It is the knowledge of what you eat, and that's exactly what we are seeing that's playing out now. Because obviously, some people will hide under the canopy of being a vegan, and now you're
Yeah.
telling us again that even being a vegan might not be truly vegan.
Yeah. I think people, yeah, they love to say that, but do they really know what that means?
In the reality,
So in
wow.
reality, yeah, it's true. It's true. So you have to really get serious about what you take in on every single level. And certain, of course, it's certainly food. And with the vegan, just a side thing that I saw, um, there's these vegan food trucks actually in your area, Brother Deji. And it was in LA, and
Wow.
I was looking at this sandwich. They made these vegan burgers, and it didn't look any different than a regular burger. And these people that were experiencing them were going crazy. They're like, this is the best food. I mean, if you look at it, it has all the bread and the cheese looking thing. And this food, I'm betting almost 100% that this food was not made well. They're
Wow.
still taking different things, trying to make it look like a burger because you're still yearning for the burger. Mentally, you haven't broken away from the meat. You're just trying to give yourself a fix. And in doing so, you might be eating something that's worse.
Mm.
You might be eating something that's worse than the meat that you're trying to get away from. So you do have to be careful about, the food that you're eating, how they're making it, where is it coming from? The answers might surprise you, might horrify you. uh, but if you eat food that's plant-based, if you eat the food that you see growing in the earth, chances are, some food is genetically modified. We have to take into account of that. But typically, most food that grows in the earth has come without man manipulating it. It's food that was here before we got here. Like the garden, imagine what was in the Garden of Eden. Imagine
Mm.
the bounty that was there. I'm sure it was all the beautiful tropical food, things that we've never seen never seen before, and it was all for our benefit. But we
Yeah.
didn't have to do anything. It was already equipped with a balance of water and minerals. We didn't have to do anything to manipulate it. And the thing is, we could eat it right off the tree. We didn't have to cook
Yeah.
it. We didn't have to do anything but peel it maybe and eat it. That's the simplest type of food that you can consume. That the food where you don't have to do anything to it. And so I believe that fruits, and vegetables fit that key because before there was a stove, before there was a microwave, we were still eating food. you know, Before we knew what to do with the
Mm.
fire, we had to survive some kind of way. So it had to be something that was easy, that did not take a lot of manipulation and preparation to consume. And I think, of course, it was the plant-based foods.
I'm trying not to rush this because it's very important to get
We're
details.
almost at an hour. I feel like we just started. I feel like we're still in the
Yes,
introduction.
I'm trying not to rush this, and the reason because it's very important information that we're giving out here, and then it's better not to give information than giving half information. It just leaves one angle like, so what do I not do? So, but we might need to do a second part of this before the end of this month. I don't know how you're going to do it. You might have to tighten your schedule. I think we have an open spot for 29th of this month. Maybe you might have to shift everything around to make that happen. If you can do
Okay.
this again, 7 a.m. on the 29th. That's a Monday morning. 7 a.m. I think that's the time, 9 a.m. If you can do this, because it's very important. Because like I said, my mom called me some time ago. She said she didn't even know I had it in mind. She said, please, that uh, in my fatherhood content that I'm providing around, that can I please address the issue why men die early?
Mm,
She specifically told me, she said she had done a research and she found out that most people that she knows, it is the women that enjoys their children because their husband are no more alive due to some medical health complication here and there. And she said she believed that apart from whatever we might think that the devil is doing, but sincerely on the health issue, we are doing far more than the devil because the devil will not feed you.
that's
The,
absolutely correct.
the devil will not sit you down and say, open your mouth, take this meat, take this chicken. The devil will not feed you. I know that the devil do so many things, but the devil will not sit down with you and start feeding you, on all those things that we eat that destroys our body system. So that's why I wouldn't want to go this. But one uh one last question that I would like to ask as we look forward to the second part of this, because it's very important. That's why I kept thinking, because I can't see people dying every day that they have opportunity of living long. It doesn't make any sense, and there's nothing else than the fact that what you the knowledge of what you eat is what makes you live long. And even the Bible that we read, I was talking about Daniel 11:32. It says, "They that know their God shall be strong and do exploit." So you know God. So that knowledge is very important. No wonder they said knowledge is power. That's what keeps you moving. So how I'm going to be asking you 4 questions in one. So how do you eat? What do you eat? The order of food, the timing of food and meals. How do you get all that set up in the right perspective and not get yourself uh, set up for failure?
Well, that's it's kind of a loaded it's a loaded question because there's many things to consider. And if you don't have the awareness, if you never had the knowledge of it, it would be hard for me to just tell you everything in just the few more moments that we have. But essentially, like we started off our conversation, is really tuning into how do you how do you feel every day. And I think most of us can say there's an opportunity for us to fine tune our system. There's the opportunity for us to feel stronger, to feel more alert, more alive. And I feel that that tells you that there's a deficit. You only feel that way because you're not you're not fully in balance. God would have it that we would be fully in balance at all times. So I would just suggest that people start with something as simple as drinking water. Drinking water, drinking your liquids before you drink your solid foods. It's actually something that's very helpful. The order in which we eat our foods is very
Hmm.
it's worth considering. So if I could give you a quick tip, I would say drink your liquids before you eat your solids. If you could hydrate yourself well before you eat your food, you won't need so much water while you're eating your food. Then you might take your time. Everything is about this whole process is actually about slowing down. You drink your fluids that are water based, it comes into your system, it kind of flushes everything out, cleanses everything out, and then you're able to eat your food. When you eat your solid food, you need to chew your food. You need to take your time. Most people, if you watch them, maybe 3 or 4 or 5 bites, the food is swallowed.
Whoa.
It's harder for your body to break it down when it's
Hmm.
in that you didn't actually use the saliva in your mouth. to break down the food so that by the time it goes into your stomach, it's already liquefied. So your stomach
Wow.
doesn't have to pump so much into it. You see, now it's going to take a long time, but really eat your
Wow.
drink your liquids first. Eat your
Hmm.
food slowly. Make sure you take several bites. Make sure the food feels liquefied before you actually swallow, and that goes a very long way to helping the digestion, which really essentially our body is a digestive tube. We start at the mouth and it ends at the anus, and then we have these muscles and bones that are attached to it, but the workhorse is this digestive tube that we have, and it's there to get nutrients and to put out waste. It's like a this two-tiered system, and of course our brain is the CEO, controlling it. But if we don't put the right types of things into this tube, it affects our brain. It affects how efficient it thinks and how it makes decisions, and its attitude in life and how you would come across in the world. So I don't know. You asked me the most loaded question at the end of our interview. So much
Yeah.
to consider. But
We might need to go back to the question when we come back later next week because, like I said, the reason why this is so important to me, most especially, is not because I I don't know what to do, but the problem is many people are dying uh, for reasons that could have been avoided
absolutely,
if they know. So and
yes.
that's why bringing this up on this kind of platform make a lot of sense because it's probably what some people need from eliminating their life by themselves.
Hmm. Yeah.
Sometimes we don't know that sometimes we are the one that are even killing ourselves. We're thinking of one
Oh,
demon,
yeah,
one
it's always
yeah, the
something
one.
out there. You can't blame the devil for everything. You really can't. At some point, you have to take accountability for the decisions that you made. Why did you listen to the devil when you know better? You didn't have to do that. The devil can't. There's situations in your life, and you're like, the devil made you do it. No, don't do that. You're taking the power away from yourself. That means that
Yeah.
you don't have the power to heal yourself. If uh, if the devil made me do it, then and then also God is going to be the only one to force me to heal. No, we work together in a
Yeah.
partnership. People have to understand that because God is not going to force you. Free will. You have to address your free will in all of this. You have to address your ability to say yes or say no, to agree or to disagree. And
Hmm.
that's where you decide what is best for me, you know? And that's a deep thing because now you're responsible
Hmm.
because now you can do or you cannot do, but it's your decision.
Hmm.
So don't blame an outside force. The devil has control of different things that kind of can make you want to make a decision, but you don't have to give in to that. You don't. It's always going to be your choice. So that means you always have the power within you to decide, what will you do on this day?
You're very correct with what you said, and I'm going to round up with this. Um, just like you said, I think I went for a birthday party. Before I went to that birthday party, the way my body is, like you said, you have to do a self how do you say it's
Assessment, yeah.
assessment. So I
Yes.
know the content of sugar in my body, and I know that if I should take anything sugary again, it's going to become a problem because naturally how I feel there's so much sugar in my body is I start having some pain on my back, on my waist.
Hmm.
Right away, I know it's sugar. I don't need the doctor to diagnose me. I know it's sugar.
Right.
So I've not felt that way. I got to the birthday party and I saw this beautiful cake they're about to cut.
Now, see, I believe that's the devil. The devil made those cakes beautiful, but you have to decide. Oh, I'm not going to eat it today, even though
So I
you're
look at the
looking
cake.
at it and you're like, oh my goodness, it's,
I'm
it's
like,
putting
should
you
I
into
let
a
this
trance.
all pass over me? Will I forgive myself? Will I forgive my destiny for missing this opportunity?
Oh my gosh.
So I'm like, well, if I take it, it won't kill me, right? Okay, let me just take a little bit, and that's where we get ourselves into all this. It wouldn't kill
Exactly.
me. That's and we don't know that we don't die once. Death is
Exactly.
gradual,
And it's a
gradually,
slippery slope.
gradually, before the final death happens. I'm like, oh, he died. No,
Exactly.
he's been dying for the past 10 years. He just didn't know.
Exactly.
That's one thing we
You're
don't we
right.
don't know. So
Brother
I,
Deji,
I,
that's correct.
I fell for that temptation, you know.
Well, I hope you enjoyed it, at least in the moment. Don't feel if you're going to do it, enjoy it. Don't stress yourself out because now you're stressed out because you ate nonsense food. But at least enjoy it and don't
Ah,
add to the stress. But
I
next
ate.
time, use that as an opportunity. These are opportunities when you notice that about yourself. I think that is just amazing that you notice that this is what you tend to do. This is your pattern. So you can then say, okay, I know I go to parties. I know that I like socializing with people. I like eating different food. What can I do to lessen to lessen this process? Because I know I can fall. I know I want to make a decision to eat those things anyway.
Mm,
So what can I do to help myself? If you can rehearse that this situation is going to happen again and again and again, and then find ways that you can, oh, well, maybe I'll fill up on some certain foods before I even go. Really there's foods that will literally fill you up and actually take away your desire to eat and actually take away your craving.
mm.
Maybe you eat those kinds of foods ahead of this social gathering. So by the
Yes.
time you get there, it's less of an influence on you because you
Mm,
already feel
mm,
nourished, you
mm,
already feel
mm,
satisfied.
mm, mm,
But
mm.
when you go there and you haven't nourished your body, you haven't given it anything, you're going to feel ravenous. You're going to see this sugar. You're going to see the beautiful way they made the flowers on the cake and the ice cream and this and that and everything. And of course, I feel like that is the devil because it's so crafty. It looks so beautiful. You're like, how could something that looks this good be so bad for me? And that's a deception. That's a deception. I feel like the devil is, uh, the entity that comes to confuse you, to disorient you, and to make it easy to go that wrong way. It makes it easy, and you can justify it. But if you know it's already going to happen, and you know that you can fall victim because this is your pattern, you can then empower yourself to make different steps, to take different steps, and to rehearse it in your mind before you even go through it. And that will actually make you very successful,
Yeah.
very successful. And what you do in one area of your life, you can then copy and paste into other areas of your life.
Wow. Wow. So much information today that I could write a book today. You know,
The topics are enough, and people and there it's the healthcare industry is $1 trillion industry, probably multi-trillion. It's what America spends most of its money on. That in the military is this healthcare industry, but people are not getting well. But just imagine if we just took a few of these steps and actually employed them, we actually would increase the productivity of Americans or people worldwide, Westerners for sure. And I'm sure, in nations in Africa and all over the world where I know the food system has been compromised. But yes, so
wow.
the way that we eat and our lifestyles impact everything in the world. So it's absolutely worth looking at and being meticulous
Yeah,
about the
we have a
process.
comment
Hmm.
here. Olufemi Adetiba said, I absolutely love this conversation. It is so informative. Yeah, it is.
Thank
It is.
you. Thank
The end
you.
of my story was that after I ate the cake, at the end of that day, I got home, then my back started aching. Then I'm like, so should I pray for God to heal me?
Exactly.
Ah, should
That's
I
the process.
pray? So I think obviously after then I'd build some guard around myself so that it wouldn't happen again. Like I said, because I know my body, and that's I think that's something we should all do and not just try to hide or pretend to ourselves as if we don't know. I know myself. I know when sugar had gotten to a level in my system that I can. So sometimes if I've gotten to that level, sometimes I don't take anything sugary again for the next 7 days, 8 days, 9 days until I feel that it's better. Then I can now take a little bit again. So I know myself. So not complying to what my body is feeling like at that moment is like I'm intentionally trying to kill myself.
Mm,
That's the way I see it. If
hmm.
I know that my body is telling me that I can't take more sugar, and I say that I can take sugar, I'm not going to die now. It's like me personally committing suicide.
Mm.
So sometimes we think people that commit suicide are people that probably put a rope on their neck or probably swallow some poison. No, some people commit suicide by the way they hit.
Hmm.
They just
Absolutely.
decide to die. I remember somebody saying that the way you see some people eating sometimes, you will think they want to go and die. They just want to die.
Oh, absolutely.
They
Yeah.
just put a
Yeah.
lot.
And it's the way that they want to die. And it's so, they're like, well, it's such a good way to die. Why not do it this way?
Wow,
So
wow.
that is
It's such a lovely conversation. I would like to do this more. So, on behalf of myself and the entire people watch all over the world and my family, we are pleading and asking and begging you that 7 a.m. Pacific Standard Time on the 29th that you will be available to us. I don't know what you're going to do. I don't know how you're going to move everything around to make this work. But
we
please,
we will see. We will see.
but
I'm going to
please,
definitely try my best. Yes, to be a
yes,
part of
because
that.
this conversation is going deeper than I even thought. Now I have to process that part of, because I have an idea of rest that I was already thinking about now, and I have another idea of rest that I probably don't think about. Oh, so I need to do a lot of more fasting so I can look younger every day. My organs can be fresh, rejuvenate, and then be active again. And by the time
Yes.
I turn 70, people will think I'm still 30.
Absolutely. You should be aging backwards. I mean, your parents already gave you a wonderful foundation, very youthful look, very tons of energy. It's such a good foundation. And the best gift that you can give to God would be to use your body and, take care of the temple. Keep it holy as you possibly can, and um, not abusing it.
All right. Any final word for today? While we look forward to the concluding part of this session. This is the first time since I have started my channel that I would extend a conversation to a next part that I didn't plan for. The ones that I probably have extension of conversation, we already planned for it. But this is the very first time in my 1 year of running this channel that at the middle of conversation, I discovered that it's not what we planned and then we have to extend. So this to show you how much information, and I'm even scared that we might not be able to even exhaust all in the two in the two sessions.
Brother Deji, this topic, I mean, it extends to your whole life. So it's almost like you can't talk about one and not talk about the
Wow.
other. Because when we're talking about health, we're not just talking about food. We are talking about the whole body. And if you can't ignore like the spirit side, which has so much influence on the physical side, and vice versa. They work together. So, and the topics, they range in science, in math, and I mean it goes to everything. And those are the topics that keep me very curious because there's new discoveries every day. We're things that have already been well established. We are now uncovering that knowledge. So yes, the conversation is going to continue to be infinite. I think there's so much to know and learn.
Well, once again, thank you so much. Now we know why you don't look your age. Also, we know the secret.
Thank you so
Now
much, brother.
now we know. So guys, until next week, there about 29th, where we'll be having a concluding session of this. If you have your questions, please put it up together so that we can ask all the necessary questions, and then we hope to finish this in the next session. I am praying and hoping so. But sincerely, like I said, I won't do justice if I just allow us to have any of the conversation on those topics halfway. It's like giving people poison. When you give people things halfway, it's like you're giving them poison. It's either you give a full or you don't give any. It's not you give it
I agree.
full or you don't give it any. And that's why even now, before I go teach in a place, I study very well. Before I teach anything in a place, I study very well. The reason is because so that I can give out the best. So I won't give out half information. I'm like, this one I'm not sure. I'm not sure. No, I need to give out the full. So I do a little study, because if I get them halfway, I'm giving them poison. If I'm giving them food,
Mm.
I'm giving them food. So that's how I see it. Once again, thank you so much. I do not take this for granted, even because you're my sister. Now, I don't take it for granted. I I
Thank you
really,
so much for having
really
me.
appreciate.
Thank you so much for having me. And thank you again for understanding the delay earlier today. I appreciate that. It will not happen again. And it's just a wonderful opportunity to be before your audience and your followers, to just drop some information that could spark curiosity and hopefully do something to help people live a better, healthier life.
All right,
Thank
all
you for
right.
having me.
All right, guys. So we're gonna be ending this session this way today, so usual, and then I'm praying that God will help each and every one of us to adhere to uh, those instructions that will help us live healthy and then live a better life. And then until we see next time, my name is still Ayode Janifushi. So, guys, next tomorrow we have another session again in the afternoon, same time in the afternoon, and then we'll be discussing about fatherhood again. So until we see next time, my name is still Ayodi Jani Fusha. This is still Great Father, Great Husband channel. Guys, subscribe and don't change the dial. God bless you and have a good evening.